Hello everybody, this is Nemodius. I'm the leader of the Kingdom Ashes of Creation, and today we've had an update drop. Well, actually not today, yesterday. We had an update drop that has put in place the new action point system and a few other changes and stuff, but mainly what it was the new style of combat. Now you can select what you want to use up here in your settings and look down to preferred battle gameplay, and you can see that you have the choice between action point mode or timer mode, which was timer mode was the old style where you actually had a timer counting down on you each turn, and you had only a certain amount of time to make all the matches you could make. What I want to do though is I want to update one of the videos that I made in the past that was specifically focused on the power of a green shaman a green shaman build. It's a monocolor style, which means that I have chosen all green gear so that my efficiency with my mana type is maximized, and I also choose all green spells so that my mana power through my mana gain and my damage due to the same color mono build was maximized as well. I made that video about 3 or 4 months ago, and that build really rolled well with the old system, because what I would do is I would throw out a bunch of mana on the board. I would stun the enemies because I would have so many green gems on the board that I could always make stuns, and with the selection of spells I had, I was generating a ton of mana, and I was constantly keeping the board filled. And it's basically what a lot of players like to call a mana flood build, because you're flooding the board with mana always, every turn, and your spells are constantly full, ready to cast each turn. And the enemy basically just had no chance. I mean, I could just put it on autoplay and just let it cycle through, and my board would be full constantly, and they would constantly be stunned, and I was constantly whacking them over the head with stuff, and constantly casting my spells, doing damage, and life was good. I could roll over anything in the game with that build. Well, with the addition of the action point system, that kind of scared me for a little bit, because I thought it broke my build, and that really bugged me bad, because I put a lot of money into this build. I mean, I hate to admit it, but if you look at my gear, yes, I know that I have some mythic gear, and you may not have that, so this may be harder for you to replicate at this stage. But I mean, you just got to know that I've put hundreds of dollars into this build to get this gear to it, even the stage that I'm at now. I've got mythic pants, mythic savior helm, mythic royal sword, mythic shield, mythic dwarven necklace. I mean, to get to that stage with the way the game is and the way they nickel and dime you and greed you to death on everything, with everything that they sell you is double the price that it should be, I've had to spend a lot of money, and I'm kind of ashamed about it, but it is what it is, because I'm addicted to the game and I want to be able to play at the higher level, so I had to do it. Because there's just no free to play in this game. They try to say, yes, we have the ability for players to play free to play, but that only works until you get to legendary, and then free to play falls off a cliff, because there's just no way that you can free to play the amount of glyphs and relics that you need to be able to upgrade your gear. If you're going to continue to legendary or beyond, you are going to have to spend money. So I'm just, I'm going to break that fact to you right now if you haven't realized that already. So sorry. A lot of players, when they get to this point that they start to get their gear from epic to legendary, they really start to realize oh, I'm either going to have to spend money or I'm going to have to play this for 3 years to get my gear to maybe even this level right here. So yeah, might as well tell you that sad truth right here out of the gate before you get too invested. Maybe you want to do something else with your life, I don't know, but I've chosen to stick with this because I love the game. I hate it that greed is waiting for me around every corner. But anyway, I want to do an update on this green shaman build because my first video was called The Power of Green. Now I want to show you the power of green after action points. It did kind of scare me a little bit, I'm not going to lie, because one of the things that they did when they installed the action point system is they took away what's called chip damage. And that was quite a bit of damage for me. Whenever you're fighting, you'll see it. As you make a hit, you see all these numbers cascading over the top of the enemy you used to. That was the damage that you received from having, a monocolor or a synergy among your mana, to where when you did a spell and it was all green or all whatever color you were doing, you would get some extra damage based on that. Well, they took that away, and that really hurts a monocolor build more than anything else, because that's the whole point. We're building all of our stuff the same color to take advantage of that power, of that mastery of that one color, and your gear and your spells and your minions, your everything. You want that mastery of that one color to make you as powerful as you can be. It's a targeted, focused approach. That kind of hurt really bad, and I was just like, oh my god, I've lost my chip damage, the world is ending. And I was just like, oh crap. I mean, it doesn't really amount to a huge amount, but for me, I was doing an extra 20 to 30,000 sometimes per hit with my chip damage. So I mean, with the absence of crits, because I'm constantly doing spells and not matching skulls, that added up to a lot of damage for me. So yeah, that was bad. But what I had to do was I had to rethink my strategy a little bit, because right here in this slot, I had another spell. I had Spirit Mask. And the reason why I kept that spell was because it was very useful for me with the old system. I had the ability to buff my resistance. It was a cleanser, so it would allow me to cast it whenever I needed to take a debuff status effect off of me. And it created 6 skulls or 6 green gems, which can be a blessing or it can be a hindrance. So it was kind of an on the fence type of spell, but this is the one I chose to go with in the build, and it was working okay. Sometimes this really got me though, because I would need gems and I would get skulls, and that was very frustrating. It still worked though, because I could still get damage off the skull matches and possibly crits, and it was okay. But what I decided to do now with this build, and I was kind of forced to, because the block that you're playing on, they increased the size of it. They added an extra row and column, and now the board is, I shouldn't have called it a block, the board that you're playing on is so much bigger that what it did was it kind of crippled my play style, because my play style was put savage juju on them to get the debuff of bad juju on the opponent, and then just beat them to death and run a lot of mana so that you could get stuns. And I was getting stuns all the time, but with the bigger board, you have to match a lot more gems to get a stun, and that pretty much took that away from me as well. So it almost felt like they were targeting monocolor builds with this update to make them less powerful, because I'm not going to lie, the meta before was monocolor builds. It is a very viable meta because they were very powerful. The mana flood strategy made the game effortless. I mean, I could just sit there and let it play itself and never even have to match gems, and that was kind of the whole point of the game, is to match gems. But anyway, So it kind of felt like they were kind of targeting mono color builds. But then I realized what it really was going to take was it was going to take for me to think outside the box and restructure a little bit. I really don't want to restructure my equipment. And you can kind of understand why, because I put way too much money into my equipment. So I didn't want to do that. But what I could do easily is restructure my spells. So instead of Spirit Mask, I decided to swap it out with Channel Poison, which is one that I had used in the past, but I had decided to swap it out for Spirit Mask at some point. Now it's time for that spell to come back in my build, because with the bigger board, I need to make more gems so that I have a chance to actually get the ability to create some stuns again. And I'm not going to do that unless I flood the board with more mana. So I decided to take, at Legendary, I can create 7 green gems with a 95% chance to poison for 4 turns, which is always nice, because that's another thing my build was built around, obviously poison. You know, everything I fight stays poisoned most of the time, always, and that's an extra 25% to damage, so that's a big deal. But this right here is a game changer for me now at this new style, because with 7 more gems basically per turn, because I'm able to pop this thing off every single turn, that is a game changer. And it made me realize that maybe this action point system isn't as bad as I thought it was, and maybe the world's not ending at this point. So let me take you through a couple matches and just let you see what it can do now with the action point system. What I'll do is I'll take you, most matches now only have one enemy. So let's just go into the archive, and I'll do one archive match just to kind of show you what that's like with the action point system in a single enemy battle. Because there's a couple of things with this new system that you really need to pay attention to. Some strategies that will help you play better. Okay, so now you see the battles are only one enemy, but they've been buffed up considerably in health and damage and resistance and armor, and they have 2 spells now which they're trying to fill up the bar on so that they can cast against you. So one of the things that you now really need to pay attention to that you didn't before is that you need to take this enemy's mana away so that they cannot bomb these spells on you, because these are some hardcore spells. Some of them will do quite a bit of damage, and if you don't have a lot of block or mitigation, they may take you out, one-shot you. So one smart strategy now is to make sure that obviously you match yours so that you can power your spells up. But you also have to pay attention to theirs, because if you leave like all this purple right here, this is some big purple matching right here. If he slides this one over and this one down, he's got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's quite a bit of purple mana right there. If I leave that on the board, that might be really bad for me. So it may be wiser for me to match some of what I can and then steal his to where he can't get this as well. And that's where you got to kind of consider, you know, how you use your action points. Right now, based on my gear and my level, I'm starting with 4 in this battle. It's based on my level, and it's also based on how many speed attributes I have on my gear. So yeah, I'd like for this to be more, but there's ways that I can get more each turn, and you can also just, you know, go ahead and end your turn with some left, and they'll carry over if you get to a place that you can't. So let's kind of feel this out, and we'll see how it rolls. Right now I want to get some mana so that I can charge my spells, because I want to be able to use this one to drop green gems, this one to drop green gems, this one to drop green gems, and do some damage, you know, get my debuff on. So obviously one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, and that gives me some green mana. I'm going to dump this one in there because this is a big boy, and that's going to give me a good hit on mana. So there's another one down. And now I have 2 action points left. Yes, I could slide this one over here and get one more green. But honestly, at this point, it's going to be more effective for me to take his mana away than it is for me to get one more green in there. So I'm going to take this one, and then I'm going to drop this one down right here, and I'm going to match all this purple and take it away from him. Once I let go of this, it'll go ahead and cycle. But as you can see, I get enough green to where I'm probably going to get to fill most of my bar, and then I'm going to take away all his purple ability so that he can't charge his spells and pop them on me, because the AI has gotten pretty smart to where they're looking to steal your mana and they're also looking to match their own. So you got to fight the same way. There's no clean fighting in a fight. You got to get down and dirty with it, just like they're going to do you. So I'm going to let this one go, and we're going to match ours and take his. Okay, so you see I filled one of my spells, but I took away the ability for him to get a lot of mana. So that was, I think, a really smart choice. So you have to pay attention now to your mana and their mana is what I'm getting at. So now you can see I've got more action points because of matching multiple, like 5 or more, you get another one, and all different kinds of things that add to it. So now I've got a lot more flexibility. I can do a lot more things. I can't really get a whole lot of green going on, so I'm going to pay attention to skulls maybe. So there's one, and then I'm also going to pay attention to stealing his mana, and here's another big boy that I'm going to take from him. And then can't really do a lot with green, so I'm going to go ahead and maximize my turn and take his. Now moving that into there gave me some green, so I'll get that at least. And then I'm looking around at the rest of the board, and honestly, the only thing that really matters now with the action point system is your mana and their mana. Used to, I would match all kinds of crap because I would be trying to get my green gems out on the board more. But now I don't really feel that that is an effective use of your turn, because like I could do all this blue and all that stuff, but honestly, I'd be better off to just save these 2 action points to my next turn and let this play out how it does, because blue's not going to do me any good and blue's not going to do him any good. So, what's the point really? So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let it go as it is. Now, one of the things that it also has changed that makes me like this action point system even better is before with your spells, you had to cast them before you started making matches, because once you started making matches you were locked in on that turn to only making matches and you couldn't hit your spells. So before, you had to go ahead and pop off anything you wanted to use and then make your matches, and then your turn was over. But now you can make matches, you can drop down here and cast a spell, go make some more matches. I like that a lot because that adds a lot more strategy into the game, I think. So right now I got the ability to pop this one off, so I'm going to go ahead and take it, do some damage to him, work on his whittling his resistance down, and now I'm ready to end the turn. I'm going to get some green, I'm going to do some damage with skulls, I'm going to take all his purple mana. So click this button and then click end turn, and those 2 action points should carry over to the next turn for me. Okay, so now I got 6. And now my green enabled me to fill some of my spells. For my build, the power of green, I'm going to always look to get the bad juju debuff on the opponent as quick as I can, because this is a serious debuff for me, and this is what's kind of my build is based around. So I'm going to go ahead and pop it off and let you see. My build is based around always having poison on the enemy, which gives them 25% extra damage, so that's pretty serious, and always having what's called bad juju on the enemy, which gives them another 25% extra damage. So they're taking 50% extra damage from my 2 debuffs that I always try to have applied. Now, one thing that I realized today that was super awesome about my build and how I use bad juju and poison is now with a lot of these battles where we're just dealing with one enemy, guess what? I can apply the debuff and it stays throughout the whole battle, and I don't have to worry about constantly reapplying it because I've killed the enemy that it was debuffed and now I'm on to the next and I've got to start a fresh debuff. That is awesome. That makes this build a lot more powerful than I thought it was going to be, because the debuff being active on your opponent at all times always increases your damage, so you want it on there always. So that is a really, really nice thing. Now in dungeons, I've noticed there's 3 enemies. You know, it doesn't really apply, but in these single battles like this, when I'm doing, you know, grinding or whatever, it's just going to make everything easier if my debuffs stay applied at all times. And one of the cool things about this is I can even increase the power of it by using this spell. Good Juju will increase the power of the debuff, you can see, by 10 to 30% each time I match those green Juju gems. So with this one, I could end up with 300% extra damage on some of these, you know, just based on how lucky I get with being able to pop this off and match it. So yeah, this may not be as bad as I thought it was with the action point system, but, you know, at first I was like, oh my god, the world is ending, you've took my chip damage and I can't make stuns anymore. But with some creative restructuring and some thought about how some of these things work, I actually think this is going to be better than I thought it was. And I honestly am starting to think that, yeah, I may like this better than the timer mode. Personally, I was fine with the timer mode before, and I thought, man, this sucks that they're going to change it. But now that I think about it more, I realize that, you know, this may not be a bad thing, and this may actually be pretty cool. So we'll go ahead and finish this battle over and get it over, and I want to show you a maximum level dungeon so you can see what that's like against multiple opponents. Okay, trying to figure out what to do here. Go ahead and pop off a spell and see if I can get some more gems to make some better matches. Do some damage. Okay, that gave me this one. And this one, and this one. And this one, and this one. Okay, now he's matching a lot of nonsense. He's matching a lot of blue and yellow because he just doesn't have nothing to do, and I guess the AI is just trying to burn its action points, but that's not smart. You're smarter than that. You're going to match your mana and steal his mana. So that's what makes this mode pretty cool, I think. Cast this again for big damage, and boom, he's dead. Okay, so as you noticed, I did not struggle through that match at all, but that's not ultimate difficulty. Let's now try dungeons at 10,000 gear score, which is the strongest it can get in this game, and we'll show you what you can do with this build. Whoops, I accidentally started an archive again. Let me get out of this. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Let's retreat. Okay, now let's do a dungeon at the maximum level, and let's show you what you can do with that. Because this kind of shows you where this build can shine as well. As you can see, it's a level 100, 10,000 gear score. I'm well under 10,000 gear score. I do have a pretty decent gear score though. There's a lot of people that have a lot higher than me, but 2,800 is good. I like it. I'll take that any day. 10,000 though, very hard. Let's jump in and see what they do. Okay, so we're starting with enemies of level 98 and 67,000 hit points, 45,000 armor. What's that? 33 resistance. I mean, these are pretty stout opponents. So let's see what we can do. We have 4 action points to start. So we're going to take this big mana match right here. We're going to take this big mana match right here, and that should pretty much fill up my board. At this point, I'm going to look at, do I want more mana or do I want to steal his? And I can't really match any of his red, so I'm just going to go for my mana at this point. And I can't make any more matches with my mana or his, or cast any spells, so I'm going to save this action point and go on to the next turn. Okay, as you see, that mana matching gave me my full bar ability. So now I got to think about my spells and the order I need to cast them. One of the first things I ever want to do is get bad juju on the opponent, because that gives me my debuff. So every other damaging spell that I cast will take advantage of that bad juju debuff. So now when I cast this, it's going to deal 10,992 damage plus 25% for bad juju and plus 25% for poison. And it gives me more armor and regeneration, which is nice. So that's a really nice spell. Okay, so I did that. Did some damage to him, beat his resistance. Now I'm going to start working on, I want more green gems so that I can make more matches. So I'm going to pop this one off. And that also will give me a lot more green gems. So now I have a lot more ability. Now in the game, if you match a full column, you get a cleanse and a heal. So that's something to watch out for. My build personally, I'm always looking for stuns. I don't see one, so I don't really have that opportunity this time. I have 4 AP, so let's figure out what we're going to do. I'm going to take that match, and I'm going to take this match. That gives me quite a bit of green, so that's going to pretty much fill my bar up right there. I'm going to take these 3, and then that leaves me 1. So now I'm going to just kind of look and see, can I steal his mana anywhere? Well, not really. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one so I can kind of disrupt his red cascade. Right there. So that kind of messed it up for him, so he couldn't get a match on that. And that gave me, pretty much full bar spells again to use again. Now, I've got 7 AP because I matched like more than 5 in a column and all that stuff. And that's the beauty of having a bunch of gems flood the board, is you're always going to get that extra P from matching more than 5 in a row, which is one of the things that give you more action points. So right now I'm going to do some damage, extend my regeneration. I'm going to get me some more gems. And I'm going to do some damage and get me some more gems. And then I'm going to look at it with 7 action points. I mean, look at this board. With 7 action points, I should be able to take this guy out and seriously damage the next one. And fill up my bar again. So you can see the power of this build starting to shine. Looking for a stun. So boom, boom, boom. Now I've ensured that I'm going to get the stun, which I probably don't need because I'm probably going to kill him outright. But anyway, we're always looking for that, so always try to get it. I'm going to take this big one and slide it in there because that's going to be a huge gem match. I'm going to take this one and slide it in there. And then I've got 2 AP, and I don't know. I really don't see anything that's going to amount to a lot except maybe this one, so I'll take that. And then I think I'm just going to end the turn with this because, yeah, I could drop this one in there, but it may be more beneficial to me, being I've already got enough mana matched to fill my whole bar to leave some on the board for the next turn. So I'm going to go ahead and just end turn and leave that there. Couldn't really steal any of his reds, so I just, left red alone. Now I've got a full bar. I've got the ability to just take him out with this one probably. So let's look at the board. Okay, let's just go ahead and take him out. Yep, now we'll work on the next one. I don't really need 60 mana for all spells because I'm pretty much full, but I don't really need gold in that choice either, so I'm going to go ahead and take the mana. That way I can work on getting my juju back up again. And that gave me a pretty good chunk. Okay, now I've got 8 AP. Wow, I've got some choices now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get some more gems on the board because I want more choices. So I'm going to go ahead and put these out there. That's more green. I'm going to put this one out there. That's more green. Going to put this one out there. That's more damage and more green. So now look at the board. I've got good options. So if I can't come up with a stun, I can at least do some healthy damage and get all my bars full. It looks like I'm going to get a stun. So there's my stun. And then I'm going to look around and see what's good. This one is huge, so I want to put that in there. And this one will... I don't have my Savage Juju debuff up right now, my bad Juju, and if I would match these green gems, that would increase the percentage of that damage. But I'm just going to go ahead and take it, because why not? Okay, and that was pretty much the only match that was left to make, so it cycled the board. So now he's stunned. We're going to do some heavy damage on him, put bad Juju on him again. Can't be stunned again for the next turn, so we're not going to worry about that this time around. With 8 AP though, I've got a couple of matches, but the smart thing for me to do would be to go ahead and make more gems so that I can make sure I take advantage of all my big gems and get them worked in there. So I'm going to go ahead and take some damage on him, create some more gems, create some more gems, take some damage on him, and now look at the board. So I can do a cleanse and a heal if I wanted to by moving this one over there. Don't really need it though because I'm full. I haven't even taken any damage. So I'm just going to kind of look at what I can match. So being we don't get chip damage anymore, it's not as essential to match every single gem every single turn. So I may leave some on the board. But right now I don't, really see a whole lot going on other than what I've already got matched, and it's not essential to try to match everything else like blue, yellow, purple. So I'm looking at his red and dang it, I'm not really seeing a way to match his red. I wish I could, because these are some big ones sitting here and he'll fill a spell off this if he can get it off. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take the turn where it's at, and I'll carry over all these action points, and it's going to get ridiculous. Okay, let's put some big damage on him. See if we can kill him. And then I'll put this damage on him, see if I can kill him. Boom. Okay, I saved my Savage Juju for my next opponent. Can't heal, so that's not really any good, so I'll take spells. Now with the last opponent, I saved this one, so I've got it ready for him. So I want to get that on him as soon as possible. Boom. Now I've got my debuff on him for 6 turns, which is enough that I'm gonna take him out. And now you'll get to see the addition of the good Juju damage bonus when I match these gems. That's gonna be cool. So let me get this one in there too. And now you can see the addition of the Savage Juju, or the good Juju, I mean. So when I match this off, my damage bonus on bad Juju is gonna go up, and you'll see, based on how many of those green vials I match. Okay, so that's pretty much all I want to do. Oh, and I'm going to take his red. Haha, you don't... Oh, no, wait a minute. He's not red. He's green. My bad. So, yeah, any green I leave on the board, he'll take. So it may be beneficial for me to try to get it all off the board so that he can't get any. Okay, so now we're going to end turn. And let's watch with the matching of these green vials how much my bad Juju percentage goes up. Well, where's my good Juju? Oh yeah. So now, when I matched all those vials like I did, which I can easily do with my bar flooded with mana generators, and this spell is ready to go again, so I can do it again. You can see that the debuff has now went from 25% damage to 380% more effective. All bad Jujus applied to the enemy are 380% more effective. Let me say it again. 300 and... I mean, that's crazy. Now watch, if I wanted to, I'll get it even higher. If he survives this, let's match that and that one. And let's throw some more in there. Some more green gems. And we'll go ahead and match that just for kicks, just to show you what this can grow to. I'm not worried about him killing me, but, well, he may kill me. I left a lot of green mana on there for him. Okay, so now my bad Juju is 440% more effective. That's crazy. Yeah, so this is the power of the green build, like I'm telling you. You can't deny it. I honestly believe that action point mode is going to work. After crying my eyes out all night long because I thought they had destroyed my build, I just made a couple changes, thought outside the box a little bit, and now you can see the power of the green build can actually still be a thing. So thanks for your time. I just wanted to kind of take you through that and show you what you could do with a green monocolor shaman build still, even after this update. So it's not the end of the world. Just think about your gear and your spells and how you're going to fight around these mechanics. And action point mechanic gameplay can be cool. All right, this is Nemodius, and I'm out. Thanks for spending your time with me.